Let's be real. We all want to build stronger relationships, connect more deeply with others, and make a lasting impact in both our personal and professional lives. But sometimes, despite our best efforts, we struggle to truly connect or influence those around us in the ways we'd like. The truth is, the key to building meaningful relationships and having a positive influence isn't about manipulating others or trying to impress them. It's about authenticity, respect, and understanding. It's about becoming someone who inspires trust, cooperation, and growth in others, simply by living according to certain principles. Stoic philosophy offers us powerful tools to do exactly this. The Stoics believed that we have control over our actions and reactions, and by cultivating virtues like empathy, patience, and discipline, we can foster better relationships and influence others in a positive and lasting way. In today's episode, we're going to explore how the timeless principles of Stoicism can help you connect with others, inspire them, and build stronger, more meaningful relationships. From offering sincere appreciation to avoiding conflict and embracing patience, these Stoic teachings will not only empower you to influence others, but will also help you live a more fulfilling, purpose-driven life. If you're ready to deepen your connections and make a positive impact, let's dive into these practical Stoic principles. 1. Avoid criticism and complaints. Inspire instead. Have you ever noticed how quickly criticism can shut down a conversation, a relationship, or even an opportunity? It's a natural reaction. When we feel criticized, we become defensive, closed off, and often we stop listening. It's almost like the walls go up, and the conversation that could have been productive ends in frustration or silence. Yet, despite knowing this, we still often find ourselves criticizing or complaining when things don't go our way. The reality is, criticism does more harm than good. It creates resistance in the other person, making them feel small, misunderstood, or even angry. Whether it's in your personal life, at work, or even in social settings, criticizing someone rarely leads to a positive outcome. Instead, it fosters negativity, breeds resentment, and makes people defensive. But what if you could inspire others to change, grow, and improve without ever pointing out their faults? This is where Stoicism comes in. The Stoics believed that to lead a life of virtue, we must practice empathy, patience, and understanding. Instead of focusing on what others are doing wrong, we should focus on how we can encourage them to become better versions of themselves. When we shift our mindset from criticism to inspiration, we unlock the potential for growth, not only in ourselves, but in those around us. Think of someone you admire, whether it's a mentor, a friend, or a colleague. Do they inspire you because they point out your flaws constantly? Or do they motivate you because they see your potential and encourage you to rise above your challenges? Most likely, it's the latter. When someone believes in you, when they encourage you to keep going even when things are tough, that's when true change happens. It's through inspiration, not criticism, that we bring out the best in others. Let's take a moment to reflect on this idea. How often do you focus on the potential in others, and how often do you focus on their shortcomings? The next time you find yourself wanting to criticize, stop. Take a step back and think, how can I inspire this person instead? How can I help them see their own strength and ability to grow? Focusing on encouragement rather than fault doesn't mean ignoring problems or avoiding the truth. It means approaching those challenges in a way that helps others feel empowered, not diminished. It's about guiding others toward improvement with patience, compassion, and respect. As Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice." When we meet criticism with kindness and encouragement, we not only change the course of the conversation, we also change the course of that person's day, their behavior, and perhaps even their life. So, the next time you feel the urge to criticize, ask yourself, how can I inspire instead of complain? You'll be amazed at the difference it can make in your relationships and the growth it can spark in others. 2. Give honest and sincere appreciation. It's easy to underestimate the power of genuine appreciation. In a world where we're often caught up in our own ambitions, struggles, and daily distractions, it's easy to forget to stop and recognize the contributions of others. But here's the truth. Everyone wants to feel valued. No matter how successful someone is or how confident they appear, we all crave recognition. Not the kind that's hollow or superficial, but the kind that comes from a place of genuine appreciation. Think about the times you felt truly appreciated, whether it was a compliment from a friend, a thank you from a colleague, or a word of encouragement from someone you admire. How did it make you feel? Energized, motivated, maybe even ready to take on the world? That's the power of sincere appreciation. It doesn't just boost the person receiving it, it also strengthens the relationship and creates an atmosphere of trust, respect, and collaboration. The Stoics believed in the power of virtue, and a core element of virtue is the ability to recognize what is good in others. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, often reflected on the importance of seeing the value in people around him, even if they were difficult or flawed. He wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." This perspective is not only about recognizing our own blessings, it's about seeing the goodness in others and acknowledging it. When we give genuine appreciation, we're not just saying, "Good job." We're saying, "I see you, I recognize your effort, and I value you." This kind of acknowledgement builds trust and strengthens connections. It encourages others to keep going, to strive for more, and to feel that their efforts are worthwhile. And the best part? It costs nothing. It's free, but its impact is priceless. But there's a key here. The appreciation must be sincere. People can tell when praise is empty or forced. When it's not genuine, it can feel more like manipulation than encouragement. So, when you offer appreciation, make sure it's specific and heartfelt. Acknowledge the effort, the skill, or the attitude that made a difference. It's not about flattering someone. It's about recognizing their true value, the unique qualities they bring to the table. Appreciation also doesn't just mean praising big achievements. Sometimes the small acts, the quiet moments, or the behind-the-scenes efforts deserve recognition too. It could be something as simple as saying, "I appreciate how you handled that situation with such patience," or "Your positivity really lifted the team today." These small, genuine acknowledgements go a long way in fostering a positive and motivating environment. So, how can you start implementing this in your daily life? Begin by looking for the things you genuinely admire in the people around you, whether it's in your personal life, your workplace, or even with strangers. Take a moment to show sincere appreciation. Recognize the effort, the kindness, the little things that make a difference, and make sure it's real. People can feel when your words are coming from the heart. When you appreciate others sincerely, you're not just lifting them up. You're creating an environment where everyone feels valued and motivated to do their best. And that's where the magic happens. 3. Listen and take a genuine interest in others. How often do we find ourselves caught in conversations where we're not truly listening? Maybe we're nodding along, waiting for our turn to speak, or we're distracted by our phones or the next thing on our to-do list. We think we're engaging, but in reality, we're not really paying attention. In these moments, we miss out on what's truly important, the connection that comes from truly understanding another person. We've all experienced it. Someone listens to us, not because they want to respond, but because they genuinely care about what we have to say. It's in those moments that we feel truly seen, valued, and heard. This kind of listening is rare, but when it happens, it builds a deeper connection than any words could. It's one of the most powerful tools for building relationships and influencing others, and it costs nothing to practice. In the world of Stoicism, this type of active listening is essential. The Stoics understood that we must focus on the things we can control, and one of those things is how we engage with others. By truly listening, we show others that we value them as individuals, not just as a means to an end. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, emphasized the importance of understanding the thoughts and actions of others without judgment. He wrote, "How much time you spend thinking about your life and how little you focus on the lives of others." This means focusing on their needs, listening to their struggles, and making an effort to understand their perspectives. When you take the time to listen actively, you're telling the other person that they matter. You're acknowledging their feelings, their opinions, and their experiences. This doesn't mean you have to agree with everything they say. It means you're opening yourself to understanding their point of view, their emotions, and their world. Active listening is also about asking questions that show a genuine interest in someone's thoughts and feelings. Instead of waiting for your turn to speak, ask questions that help you understand their experiences better. Show curiosity. Be genuinely interested in learning about them, not just speaking about yourself or waiting for the conversation to go in your direction. The more you listen, the more you'll learn, and the stronger your relationships will become. Listening also goes hand in hand with empathy. Empathy is the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes, to feel what they're feeling, and to respond with compassion. When you listen with empathy, you're not just hearing words, you're connecting with the other person on a deeper emotional level. This builds trust and rapport, two essential ingredients for effective communication and influence. So, next time you find yourself in a conversation, stop and ask yourself, am I truly listening to this person, or am I just waiting for my turn to speak? To truly connect with others, you need to listen not just with your ears, but with your heart. By taking a genuine interest in others, you'll build stronger relationships, deepen your influence, and create a sense of community and understanding. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to form meaningful, trusting relationships that will support you throughout your journey. It's one of the simplest, most powerful tools in human connection, one that opens doors, fosters respect, and builds lifelong bonds. 4. Use names and smile. Often. Have you ever had a conversation with someone who remembered your name and greeted you with a smile? It's amazing how something so simple can instantly make you feel valued and seen. When someone uses your name, it's like they've taken the time to connect with you on a personal level. It makes you feel important, like you matter. And when they smile, it's as if all the stress and tension in the room melts away, creating an atmosphere of warmth and trust. But how often do we forget to do this for others? In the rush of everyday life, it's easy to overlook the power of a name and a smile. We get caught up in our own thoughts, our own agendas, and we forget how simple gestures can make a profound difference in how others feel. Yet, when you take the time to greet someone by name and smile sincerely, you're doing more than just being polite. You're creating an instant connection. The Stoics understood the importance of human connection. They knew that how we treat others shapes our lives as much as how we treat ourselves. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the importance of respecting others and seeing their humanity. He understood that treating others with kindness and empathy wasn't just a way to make the world better. It was a way to improve ourselves as well. By practicing kindness, we reinforce our own values and principles. Using someone's name is one of the most powerful tools in building rapport. A person's name is something incredibly personal to them, and when you say it, it acknowledges their individuality. It tells them that they matter, that you see them as more than just a face in the crowd. This simple act can instantly make people feel more comfortable around you, whether in a professional setting or personal relationship. Along with using someone's name, smiling is another incredibly effective tool for connecting with others. A smile is universal. It transcends language, culture, and background. It's a non-verbal cue that tells the other person that you're open, friendly, and approachable. When you smile, you're signaling warmth and kindness, which creates a sense of trust and safety. But here's the catch: it has to be genuine. A forced smile can come across as insincere, and people are quick to notice when it's not real. A genuine smile, however, can light up a room and create an instant bond. It shows that you're present in the moment, that you care about the person in front of you, and that you want to engage with them in a positive way. So next time you're interacting with someone, whether it's at work, in a meeting, or simply running errands, take a moment to use their name and give them a genuine smile. It's such a small act, but it carries a lot of weight. And the best part? It doesn't cost you anything, but it can make a huge difference in how the other person perceives you. It's a simple yet powerful way to foster connection and build lasting relationships. When you start using names and smiling often, you'll notice the shift in how people respond to you. You'll see doors open where they used to be closed, and you'll create an environment where trust, respect, and positivity can thrive. And as a result, your influence will grow in ways you never imagined. 5. Respect opinions and avoid arguments. How many times have you found yourself in a heated discussion, determined to prove that you're right? Whether it's in a casual conversation with friends, a debate at work, or an argument with a loved one, we all have those moments where we feel the urge to win the argument, to make our point loud and clear. But here's the truth. Arguments rarely lead to true understanding. They rarely build bridges. They tend to create walls. Think about the last argument you had. Did it end in mutual understanding? Or did it just leave both sides feeling more entrenched in their positions? More often than not, arguing doesn't open minds. It just leads to frustration. It's not about finding common ground, it's about proving who's right. And the irony is that when we dig our heels in, we miss out on the opportunity to learn, to grow, and to connect. So, what's the alternative? Instead of engaging in arguments, we can choose to respect others' opinions. We can listen with an open mind and offer our perspective without turning it into a battle. In doing so, we foster a sense of mutual respect and create space for collaboration instead of conflict. This approach doesn't mean we have to agree with everything someone else says, but it does mean we approach conversations with empathy and understanding. The Stoics understood this principle well. They believed in the power of reason, but they also knew that wisdom comes from listening to others and acknowledging that we don't always have the answers. Seneca, a renowned Stoic philosopher, said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." In other words, much of our stress and frustration comes from the stories we create in our minds, often by imagining conflict or misunderstanding where there might be none. If we learn to stop arguing and start listening, we avoid the mental strain that comes from unnecessary conflict. Here's the challenge. Instead of responding immediately with your own opinion, take a moment to understand where the other person is coming from. What are they really saying? What's motivating their perspective? When we listen with this kind of curiosity, we not only gain a deeper understanding of others, but we also open the door to more meaningful and productive conversations. If you find yourself in a situation where you feel the urge to argue, stop, ask questions, show genuine interest in what the other person has to say, and offer your thoughts in a way that invites collaboration rather than resistance. Instead of trying to win the conversation, make it about learning from each other. And remember, you don't have to agree to respect someone's opinion. The result of this shift is powerful. Not only will your relationships become stronger, but you'll also gain a deeper understanding of the world around you. Respecting opinions doesn't mean you're weak or passive. It means you're confident enough in your own beliefs to allow others the space to express theirs. This creates an environment where everyone feels heard, valued, and respected, and in turn, you'll find that your influence grows naturally. So, next time you feel the urge to jump into an argument, pause, reflect. How can you engage without conflict? How can you listen with respect and share your opinion in a way that invites understanding? By embracing this mindset, you'll find that conversations become more productive, relationships become more harmonious, and your influence becomes much stronger. 6. Admit mistakes and begin conversations positively. How many times have you found yourself in a conversation where the tone was set by defensiveness or blame? Whether it's at work, in personal relationships, or even in a casual exchange, we've all experienced those moments where tension takes over and the conversation goes downhill. When we're caught in the heat of the moment, admitting mistakes can feel difficult. It feels easier to hold on to our pride, to defend our actions, and to deflect blame. But here's the thing. Admitting our mistakes doesn't make us weak. It makes us stronger. In fact, the ability to admit mistakes is a hallmark of true self-discipline. It shows humility, self-awareness, and the courage to own our actions. When we admit our mistakes, we take responsibility for them, and we open the door to learning and growth. This act of vulnerability fosters trust, and it creates an environment where people feel safe to be honest and open. Think about the last time you made a mistake at work or in a personal situation. How did you handle it? Did you try to cover it up, or did you take accountability right away? Often, when we try to avoid admitting mistakes, we dig ourselves deeper into a hole, causing more harm to the relationship or situation. But when we own up to our errors, we show maturity and integrity. This is not only a reflection of personal growth, but it also creates an opportunity to build stronger relationships based on honesty. The Stoics taught the importance of accepting responsibility for our actions. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, often reflected on how important it was to recognize our faults and learn from them. He said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the challenges we face, including our mistakes, are not roadblocks, they're opportunities for growth. When we embrace them, we become better, wiser, and more resilient. When it comes to starting conversations, especially those that are difficult or potentially uncomfortable, it's essential to begin with a positive and open approach. Instead of leading with a defense, start by acknowledging the situation and taking responsibility for your part in it. When you do this, you set the tone for a cooperative, productive dialogue. For example, instead of starting a conversation with, "I didn't do it because of this," try saying, "I realize that I made a mistake, and here's how I plan to fix it." This shift from defensiveness to responsibility opens the door to problem-solving and collaboration. It shows the other person that you're committed to making things right and that you value the relationship more than your own pride. This approach doesn't mean you should take the blame for everything, nor should you always apologize when you're not at fault. What it does mean is that when you make a mistake, you own up to it. You admit it, learn from it, and move forward. Taking responsibility for your mistakes also creates a culture of accountability. When others see you admit your own faults, they're more likely to do the same, which fosters an environment of trust, growth, and mutual respect. So, how can you apply this in your life? The next time you find yourself in a difficult conversation or situation, take a deep breath and start by owning your actions. Admit your mistakes with humility and approach the conversation with a positive, solution-oriented mindset. You'll find that not only does this strengthen your relationships, but it also builds a reputation of integrity and leadership. 7. Guide, don't command. Let others feel ownership. Have you ever been in a situation where someone told you exactly what to do, step by step, without allowing you any input or autonomy? While it might seem efficient in the moment, this approach often leads to resistance, lack of engagement, and a feeling of being controlled. On the other hand, when people feel like they have ownership of their actions, decisions, and contributions, they are much more motivated, committed, and willing to go the extra mile. This is where the principle of guiding rather than commanding comes into play. In any area of life, whether it's at work, in relationships, or in community projects, being a leader doesn't mean giving orders. It means empowering others, allowing them to take ownership of their choices and actions. When people feel like they're part of the process, they become more invested in the outcome, and they're more likely to follow through. The Stoics understood this principle very well. They believed that true leadership comes from guiding others with wisdom and encouragement, not through control or manipulation. Instead of imposing your will on others, Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius encouraged leaders to inspire others to think for themselves and to act in accordance with their own values. He often reflected on the importance of leading by example rather than dictating what others should do. The power of allowing others to feel ownership over their actions is rooted in trust. When you guide instead of command, you're saying, "I believe in your abilities, and I trust that you can handle this." This approach builds confidence and encourages creativity. It allows people to bring their own ideas to the table, which fosters collaboration and innovation. Think about the best leaders you've encountered in your life. What made them effective? Was it their ability to give direct orders, or was it their ability to inspire, guide, and listen? More likely than not, it was the latter. Great leaders don't force others to follow. They make others feel like they are a crucial part of the journey. They create a sense of ownership, which leads to greater commitment, enthusiasm, and effort from those they lead. When you guide instead of command, you also create an environment of mutual respect. You're not positioning yourself as someone who knows better or has all the answers. You're positioning yourself as a partner in the process. This dynamic fosters collaboration and strengthens relationships because people feel that their ideas and contributions are valued. In practical terms, how can you begin to apply this principle? Start by asking questions rather than giving commands. Instead of saying, "Do this," ask, "How do you think we should approach this?" Or, "What's your opinion on this matter?" When you ask for input, you show that you respect the other person's thoughts and abilities. It opens up a conversation rather than a one-sided directive. It also allows for the other person to feel empowered and involved. This approach works in all areas of life. In the workplace, it can lead to more engaged employees who feel like they're contributing to the company's success, not just following orders. In relationships, it leads to a sense of partnership where both parties feel equally invested. In any situation, allowing others to feel ownership over their actions leads to stronger commitment, better results, and a deeper sense of fulfillment for everyone involved. So, the next time you find yourself in a position where you need to lead, guide, or influence, remember, the power is in letting others feel ownership. Instead of telling them what to do, inspire them to take action themselves. You'll be amazed at how much more motivated, engaged, and responsible they become when they feel like they have a say in the outcome. 8. Praise progress, even small improvements. How often do we wait for the big wins before we give ourselves or others recognition? It's easy to fall into the trap of only celebrating the end result, the final product, the completed project, or the achievement of a big goal. But here's the truth. The small steps, the incremental progress, and the daily efforts are just as important, if not more so. When we acknowledge these smaller victories, we create an environment where growth is celebrated and progress is always within reach. Praise isn't just for the big moments. It's in the small, consistent efforts that we build the foundation for success. When you recognize and praise the small improvements, whether in yourself or others, you not only motivate those around you, but you also reinforce the behavior that leads to long-term success. It's about appreciating the effort, not just the outcome. Think about the people who have motivated you in your life. Chances are they didn't just wait for the grand achievements to acknowledge your progress. They celebrated the little things along the way. A mentor who notices the effort you're putting in, a friend who appreciates the consistency you've shown, a colleague who points out the improvement you've made. These small acts of recognition can fuel continued effort and perseverance. This is a core Stoic principle. Progress is made through continuous effort, and it's through patience, persistence, and steady growth that we achieve our goals. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, often reminded himself to be mindful of the small steps that contributed to his progress. He knew that just like the human body, a virtuous life is built one action at a time. Every positive step, no matter how small, moves us closer to our ultimate goal of living a good life. When we praise progress, we don't just recognize what's been done, we reinforce the process that got us there. Every time you acknowledge someone's effort, you show them that their hard work is valued. This recognition boosts their confidence, motivates them to keep going, and creates a sense of pride in the work they're doing. For example, let's say a colleague has been improving their performance steadily, but they're still not where they want to be. Instead of only acknowledging them when they hit the target, take the time to praise their effort. Say something like, I can see how hard you've been working and it's paying off. This simple recognition can help them keep going, even when the end goal feels far off. It reinforces the idea that progress, no matter how slow, is still progress, and it's worth celebrating. The same principle applies to your personal growth. If you've been working on building a new habit or working toward a big goal, don't wait until you've achieved perfection to celebrate. Every day you show up, every small improvement deserves acknowledgement. By recognizing these incremental victories, you stay motivated and remind yourself that you're on the right path. So, whether you're leading a team, working on personal goals, or supporting someone you care about, make it a habit to praise progress, even the smallest of improvements. When you do, you create a culture of encouragement, motivation, and continuous growth. Remember, it's not just the big wins that matter. It's the journey, the effort, and the daily progress that shapes who we become. 9. Correct mistakes indirectly and offer solutions. We all make mistakes. It's a natural part of life and personal growth. But how we address mistakes, whether our own or others, can make all the difference in how we learn and grow. It's easy to point out someone's errors, to correct them with sharp words or direct criticism. But the truth is, this approach rarely fosters a learning environment. It can create defensiveness, frustration, and even resentment, making it harder for people to grow or for you to build a trusting relationship. Instead of directly pointing out mistakes, we can adopt a more effective approach, correcting gently and offering constructive solutions. By doing this, we not only preserve the dignity of the person making the mistake, but also create an environment where learning and improvement are valued over perfection. The Stoics believed in the power of understanding and empathy, especially when it comes to dealing with failure. They understood that mistakes are opportunities for growth, not something to be ashamed of or criticized harshly. Imagine you're working with a colleague who made a mistake on a project. Instead of immediately pointing out what went wrong and telling them what to do differently, consider framing it in a more collaborative way. Instead of saying, "You did this wrong, and here's how you fix it," try saying, "I noticed this issue, and here's an approach we can take to solve it together." By focusing on solutions and making the person feel like a partner in the process, you open the door for collaboration and improvement. This method doesn't just apply to correcting others. It's just as important when we correct ourselves. Self-criticism, when it's harsh and judgmental, can stunt our growth. But when we approach our own mistakes with understanding and a focus on improvement, we learn more effectively. Instead of saying, "I can't believe I messed up again," try saying, "This was a learning moment, and here's what I can do differently next time." The Stoic philosopher Epictetus wrote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This wisdom is powerful when we think about how we react to mistakes. The reaction, whether it's towards ourselves or others, determines whether we grow from the experience or let it become a setback. By focusing on solutions rather than assigning blame, we can shift our energy toward growth and progress. Here's the practical takeaway. The next time you need to correct a mistake, whether it's yours or someone else's, focus on the solution. Approach the situation with empathy and understanding, and offer a path forward rather than dwelling on what went wrong. Acknowledge the mistake, but don't linger on it. Instead, offer guidance, share actionable steps, and encourage learning. This approach fosters a growth mindset, keeps morale high, and strengthens relationships. The ability to correct gently and offer solutions is a powerful tool in leadership, personal relationships, and self-improvement. It shifts the focus from failure to progress, and it encourages the person involved to take ownership of their growth. After all, no one succeeds alone. By helping others improve, we improve ourselves in the process. 10. Set a reputation for others to live up to. We've all heard the saying, "You lead by example." But how often do we truly embody the qualities we expect from others? In any relationship, whether at work, at home, or in the community, the way we act and the standards we set speak louder than words. When you hold yourself to a high standard, not only do you raise your own level of integrity, but you also inspire those around you to do the same. This principle is one of the most powerful ways to influence others. By setting a reputation for excellence, responsibility, and discipline, you create an environment where others feel compelled to rise to meet it. The key is not to demand greatness from others, but to model it yourself. When you set the bar high in your actions, others will naturally strive to meet it, not because you told them to, but because they see the value in it. The Stoics knew this well. They believed that the only way to live a virtuous life was to embody the virtues you wanted to see in others. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, constantly reminded himself to live in accordance with his values, recognizing that his actions would set the tone for those around him. He didn't just preach Stoic principles, he lived them, knowing that his behavior would influence the people he interacted with. Think about the leaders you respect most. Are they the ones who demand respect, or are they the ones who earn it through their actions? Most likely, it's the latter. When you act with integrity, when you show up every day with commitment, focus, and respect, you set a powerful example. People naturally want to follow someone who walks the talk. This kind of leadership doesn't require force or control. It simply requires consistency and authenticity. The beautiful part about this approach is that it doesn't take any special skill. It just takes commitment to living in alignment with your values. Whether it's being punctual, treating others with respect, or working hard even when no one is watching, when you live by your principles, you inspire others to do the same. Setting a high standard doesn't mean being perfect. It means being consistent. It's about being the kind of person who can be relied on, who keeps promises, who upholds values, and who treats others with dignity. It's about showing up each day with the intent to do your best, not because you expect anything in return, but because it's the right thing to do. By doing this, you create an environment where others feel inspired to do their best, too. It doesn't happen through force, it happens through modeling the behavior you want to see. When you set a reputation for excellence, people will rise to meet it, not because they have to, but because they want to. They want to emulate your example, and that's the most powerful form of influence you can have. So, ask yourself, what kind of reputation are you setting? Are you leading with integrity? Are you setting the standard that others will want to live up to? If not, it's time to start living the example you want others to follow. In doing so, you'll inspire the kind of greatness that can transform not just your own life, but the lives of those around you. 11. Make people want to do what you suggest. Have you ever tried to get someone on board with your idea, only to meet resistance? You might have found yourself explaining the benefits, laying out the details, and yet they still seem uninterested or unwilling to take action. It's frustrating, right? The truth is, getting others to follow your lead doesn't come from forceful persuasion or dictating what they should do. It comes from inspiring them in a way that makes them want to take part, because they see the value and feel motivated. This is where the power of influence really comes into play. Instead of telling people what to do, show them why it benefits them. When people can see how your suggestion aligns with their own goals, values, or desires, they're much more likely to get involved. The key isn't in convincing them with logic alone. It's in inspiring them to act based on their own desires and motivations. The Stoics understood this well. They didn't believe in forcing people to think or act a certain way. They believed in teaching through example, offering wisdom, and allowing others to come to their own conclusions. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the importance of understanding the needs and motivations of others. He didn't impose his will. He sought to influence through wisdom, empathy, and respect for individual freedom. So how does this translate to you and your interactions? Instead of pushing your ideas onto others, start by showing them the benefits. Help them understand how your suggestion will make their life better, easier, or more fulfilling. The best way to inspire cooperation is by making others see that their involvement will lead to something positive for them. When they can clearly see how it will serve their own interests, they'll be far more motivated to take action. Think about the times when you've been most excited about an idea. It wasn't when someone told you what to do. It was when someone shared how that idea aligned with your values and goals. When people can see how your suggestion will lead to a better outcome for them, they're far more likely to embrace it. For example, let's say you want to implement a new project at work. Instead of pushing your idea through, take the time to talk with your team about how the project will benefit them personally or professionally. Ask for their input and allow them to feel like they're part of the process. When they see how it aligns with their own goals and interests, they'll feel more invested in bringing the idea to life. This approach isn't about manipulation, it's about creating alignment. When you inspire others by showing them how their involvement will benefit them, you empower them to take action willingly. And the best part, when they take action willingly, they're much more likely to follow through and do their best work. So, the next time you need someone to take action, think about how you can frame your suggestion in a way that resonates with their goals and values. Make them want to be a part of it, not because they have to, but because they want to. This shift in perspective can dramatically improve how you influence others and create lasting cooperation. By making people want to do what you suggest, you don't just get compliance. You inspire engagement, excitement, and a deeper sense of shared purpose. That's the true power of influence, and it's far more effective than simply telling people what to do. You've now unlocked 11 powerful principles from how to win friends and influence people through the lens of Stoic philosophy. Principles that, when practiced, can transform not only your relationships, but your life as well. These aren't just tactics for getting others to do what you want. They're principles for building genuine, lasting connections based on respect, empathy, and shared values. But as with any Stoic practice, it's not enough to simply understand these principles. It's about living them. It's about showing up every day with intentionality, practicing patience, and leading by example. True influence comes not from manipulating others, but from inspiring them, empowering them, and showing them the value of collaboration, mutual respect, and personal growth. So ask yourself, how can you begin applying these principles in your own life? Maybe it starts with focusing on encouraging others rather than criticizing them. Perhaps it's about listening more deeply and showing genuine appreciation. Whatever the first step is for you, remember that the journey to building meaningful, influential relationships begins with one small action. If you found value in today's episode, I encourage you to take what you've learned and put it into practice. Start small, but start now. The more you apply these principles, the more natural they will become, and the stronger the bonds you form will be. Thank you for tuning in. If this episode resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe. Every little bit of support helps us continue bringing valuable Stoic wisdom to your life. We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments. How have you been able to apply these Stoic principles in your own relationships? Until next time, stay disciplined, stay focused, and keep building the relationships that will elevate your life.